Romans the 12th chapter. We're going to look at verses 1 through 8 here. And today's lesson is entitled, The Lord Have Need of You. Start at verse 1.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Okay, start right there. He says, I'm begging you. Paul, this is when you see the word beseech, okay? When you see the word beseech, he's saying, I beg of you. And he's saying, we oftentimes when we read the scripture, we leave out the context of it when he says, brethren, by the mercies of God. Okay? By the mercies of God. So he's saying that you're not going to be able to do this thing unless you rely on the grace and the mercy of the Most High. This is not something you're going to be able to do with physical effort. Okay? With mental strength. I'm going to think positive. No, you listen. We got to keep that worldly stuff, the secular things outside of the things of the kingdom. There's a difference. There's a big difference between being positive and being saved. Okay? Big difference. We got a lot of people reaching out to us and want to be a part of some of the things that we're doing. And when I look at what they're doing, it doesn't line up with the Most High. That's why you would never see us partner with them. Yeah, you're doing some positive stuff, and you know, but if it ain't about Christ, it ain't about us. I'm sorry. So all this, I'm being positive and I'm being conscious. Get out of here with that, man. Get out of here. You ain't nothing. You're sleepwalking, bro. You're sleepwalking. Because unless Christ woke you up, you sleep. Simple as that. But read that verse 1 again.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
Which is your reasonable service. Okay? But go back and read that part where it says holy. It said holy and what?
Holy, acceptable unto God.
Now see, that's the part that we leave out. Because our churches have developed their own system. Their own, criteria, I would say, of meaning how you're acceptable. So they got the women in bondage in there with dresses to their feet, no makeup, no earrings, no nothing like that. And they say, that's acceptable to God. And they got the guys in there with your suits, your matching pocket squares and all this. Yeah, that's acceptable to God. No. Acceptable to God is that you're walking in the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Okay? That's what's acceptable to Him. Not acceptable to your church. Not acceptable to your own ideology. Not acceptable to your own little cliques that you have. We're saying this is acceptable and this is not. Well, you can break this law and break this law, but as long as you're doing this, you're cool. No, that's not how it works here. Most of the Bible says that you need to be living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to Him, which is your reasonable service. It's the least that we can do. And we people act like they're doing the Most High a favor by doing what's right. You ain't doing them no favor. You're doing yourself a favor. Okay? Verse 2.
And be not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Another thing that we keep leaving out. Read that first part of it again.
And be not conformed to this world.
Okay, so why is the church going out of their way to do everything like the world, looks like the world? If you're telling don't be conformed to the world. I done seen posts of ladies who say they're part of the church. Say we're going to have a girls' night out, right? And then they say we're going to go and watch these movies or watch these shows that are contrary to the word of the Most High. And I be looking at it like, I'll be very confused. Like, we're going to have a girls' night out. We're going to go watch the movie Girls' Night Out where they promote fornicating and drunkenness and all this. I'm like, what? Are you going to say that publicly? I'm just confused by it. Yeah, all the girls came over and we had a scandal party. Really? But nobody can never find time to come together to break down these laws, these precepts in the Bible. But we definitely make time for that though. Choir don't got no time to practice, but the choir also, you sit by the phone And talk to each other throughout the have and have-nots, though. We got time for that. We're not going to practice so we can be able to minister for the Most High. So he said, to be not conformed to this world. He says, but be transformed. That means that the way I thought, the way I saw things, my perspective, my perception that I had pre-Christ has to be completely transformed as I live in Christ. It can't no longer be the same thing. It can no longer be the same things. But what was that last part of it says?
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Okay, so who am I proving it to? That's the key. That's the question. Who am I trying to prove it to? The lost. Those in the world. I must be able to, by the life that I'm living, should be able to prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. And it's so sad that many Christians are the reason why the people that's in their lives are not followers of Christ. They are the reason, not because of the devil or the world. It's the so-called Christians that are in their lives. It's the reason why they don't follow Christ. Because they say, I ain't want to be hateful like that. I don't want to have an attitude like that. I don't want to be judgmental like that. She cheating on her husband. He beats his wife. But he's a deacon though. You have to be able to prove by the life that you're living, not that you're so holy and great, but you're supposed to prove what? The perfect what?
That good, acceptable, and perfect will of God.
That's what we're supposed to be proving to the people that's on the outside looking in. Verse 3.
For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith.
So just because you prophesy, you prophesy, you see visions, and you able to speak into people's life, that don't make you better than the guy who teaches Sunday school. Because he's giving everyone a measure of faith according to the grace that was upon their life. But we, as the church, has done put titles on everything, and we make more people more important than and treat other people like they're less important. When he said, don't think no highly of yourself, just because you're doing something, just because you're a bishop and you're over these amount of churches, and this guy's a pastor that's over this one church, you're not more important in the kingdom than he is. But that's what people think. So that when this guy walks in right here, the bishop that's over 6 churches, he walking to the place, you'll roll the red carpet out, you'll give him a towel to wipe his sweat, you give him his water, but then the guy that come in who got 15 members, you're like, hey, it's just find a seat somewhere. It's still no. That's not the way it works. Give honor to what honor is due, to every male or female that's working for the Most High. Verse 4.
For as we have many members in one body, all members have not the same office.
Mm-hmm.
So we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one member one of another.
That's right.
Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith.
Okay, so he's saying right there, listen, the body is full of different people with different gifts, different talents, different purposes on their, different callings on their life. So whatever it is that you're giving, don't be focused on what this other person over here doing. You need to be focused on what the Most High has called you to do. And this is the problem that we're having. Because you think, because this guy has 15 churches that follow him, and you have 15 members, that this guy is better than you. So you're steady over there looking at this guy and not devoting time to the people that the Most High called you to serve. Because when you stand before Christ, you're going to get the same reward that he's going to get. Now, the world and the church may clap it up harder for him, but the Most High is clapping just as hard for you when you're doing what he tells you to do. If you got 20 homeless people that's in your community, if you're feeding those people, giving time, giving supplies and resources to them, the Most High is just as happy for you, what you're doing, versus the Red Cross that's doing it all over the world. So don't be putting measurements on your callers of what you're doing. Just focus on whatever Christ has told you to do, what the Most High has told you to do. And if you're doing that, the Most High shall be pleased. Verse, what was the last part of that verse? Say, if prophesy.
Whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith.
So that means if the Most High has called you to prophesy, He gives you the gift of prophecy, then you need to prophesy. Don't worry about trying to be apostle or bishop. Just prophesy according to the faith that He's given you. Don't be going out here trying to come up with these big prophecies or these big predictions just to look famous so you can be the next Brian Carr and all these other guys. Do what He told you to do, and you're gonna be blessed by it. Verse 7.
Or ministry. Let us wait on our ministering, or he that teacheth on teaching.
Okay, so if you're called to minister to the youth, and you're called to be a youth pastor, you're called to teach Sunday school to the kids, do it to the best of your ability. Get your stuff together. If you're called to be a Sunday school teacher or a Bible class teacher, do it to the best of your ability. But don't try to be the pastor. Don't try to be the deacon. Just do what He's told you to do. Because all of the gifts, all of the callings are necessary. Verse 8.
Or he that exhorteth on exhortation, he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity.
Okay, so he's saying here, he said, listen, if you're the person that's on the praise team and you're the person that do the exhortation and the people that is getting the people inspired and encouraging the people to go forth in the worship, do that. But don't be trying to now come in through the back door and say, well, I'm the people that get the people ready. I think I should be the one in charge. No. Just stick the way He told you to do. And those who are givers. See, y'all understand that giving is a ministry in itself. The Most High has blessed some of you with big bank accounts. And it's not for you to go out and look flossing and flexing on other people the way the world tells you you're supposed to do. It's so you can be in a position where you can give to these things of the ministry. And so He calls you to give with ministry. Don't give with liberty. Don't come up there holding the people hostage like some of these people do, where I got to put a stained glass window in honor of you because you gave some money to the church, or I got to put a pew with your name on it. No, don't do that. Get out of that stuff, man. Or you got to be mentioned, you got to make sure that when you did a giving to some organization, that they got to tag you on Facebook and put your name in it. Or every time you go down and volunteer, you got to go live from the place. Listen, get off out of that, man. Get out of that stuff, man. Don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. Just do the work. You don't have to go live every time you helping somebody out. Just do it. Because the Most High says in Matthew 6 that if you do those things, you have received your reward already. So every time you go volunteer at a homeless shelter, every time you go volunteer at a soup kitchen or whatever the case may be, you go live every time you do that, you've already received your reward. So don't think you got anything else coming from that. That was your reward. You got some claps and some lights. Clap it up. I didn't even want to start doing live and other stuff. My team had to talk me into that. I didn't even want to take pictures. I didn't want to. For what? If you wanted to be there, you would be there. My peoples had to talk me into doing that. So that's why we do that. But if you go back in the early years, we ain't got no pictures, no videos, no nothing. People getting saved there. Most High know it. They know it. People got healed there. Miracles happening there. They know it. And the Most High know it. What we got to tell everybody else for? Just do the work. Verse 8.
He that exhorteth on exhortation, he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence, he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Okay, so when you're ruling, when the Most High puts you in a leadership position, do it with diligency. Do it in love. Do it with order. And those who he said, what was that last part? He said, and those who show mercy, with cheerfulness. He said what? With cheerfulness. With cheerfulness. If you're in a position and you know some single moms need some stuff, don't make her feel bad for coming to the church for help. Don't make her go out and write a letter that you got to read it before the church. No, man, don't just stop embarrassing the people like that, man. Okay, come on in and hold up.
let me get a table right here. Let us put the Pampers up here on the table. Let's put the milk into bottles. All right, now go live. Let's go. No, stop doing that to people. That's not what the Most High told you to do. Do it for the people because the Lord have need of you. Let's go to Matthew 9. If you just joined him today, today's lesson is entitled, The Lord have need of you. We talked about it initially, about what the Most High said in Genesis 49, that will be for the Jacob's children, Jacob's sons in the last days. We gave you some insight of what Jacob said that Judah will be experiencing in the last days. And you see it all around him. He's being praised. He's one always being celebrated. And the kingship shall stay with him. And he shall always have his hands at the end of the neck. This is why you see all of our leaders who are always the one that's standing up in the country. Not for only our people, but for everybody. For injustice for everybody. Right? Then we went to Zechariah 12 and we talked about the fact that the Most High said he's going to save the tents of Judah first. This is why you see mostly around the world, the so-called black people, the so-called African-American people are the ones who are waking up first. Because we are the kings. We are the ones with the rules. It's given unto us to be the ones to wake up the rest of our people. So this is the time for Judah rising. Now, let's go to Matthew 9. And we're going to look at a set of familiar scriptures here as we continue on with today's lesson that's entitled, The Lord have need of you. Let's start with verse 35 there.
And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people.
Okay, so you say we're going through there having pastors' anniversaries and choir anniversaries and usher programs, right? That's what Christ is doing, right?
No.
What did he say he was doing?
Teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought I was doing a pack the pews service. In the synagogue, they do a pack the pews service in the synagogue.
Nah, preaching the gospel.
Preaching the gospel. Did he tell them they had to have an honorarium for him to come do that?
Nah.
Okay. I just making sure, just checking, because that's what we see today. So-called people that say they're working for the Most High, they don't do any of these things unless the check gets signed first. I just wanted to make sure. So read that verse for them again, what Christ is doing.
And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people.
Verse 36.
But when he saw the multitude, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted, and they were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Okay,
so when he saw the people in need, he didn't say, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm about to get this money now, because I know I got this message, and they're gonna bring me around to all these synagogues. And I'm gonna get my manager. I'm gonna get me a manager. I'm gonna get Peter to get me booked up. He's gonna go to all the places and book me. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get this money. That ain't what Christ said. Read verse 36 for him again.
But when he saw the multitude, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and they were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd.
So he was concerned with their needs. He was concerned in serving them. He was concerned with being everything that they needed, not so much of what he was going to be getting out of it. And this is what's going on right now in the body of Christ, where everybody's looking at what I'm going to get, what I'm going to receive, what's going to come to me as a result of me doing this. Not going in trying to hype the people up so they can give him something. No, I'm going in to bless and encouraging and inspiring the people so they can get something from the Most High. Verse 37.
And then he said unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few.
But the laborers are few. And this is what we talk about all the time. We look out here in the world, we see all these people. They're just living the way they live, acting the way they act, living and just doing anything. And we say to them, man, there's a lot of people out there that need to hear about Christ. But the true thing about it is that the laborers are few. You got church on every corner, full with a bunch of preachers, but still the laborers of the gospel are very, very few. Because people these days are more so on building the church, more so than building the kingdom. And if people invite you to their programs and they invite you to their church, and if you don't come to their program, you don't come to their church, you think they spending time praying with folks? No. You think they talking about some Christ? No. They want you to come to this program. They want you to buy this fish plate. They want you to buy these hot dogs. They want you to do this. They want you to give to their fundraiser they got. If you're not doing that, they ain't got no time for you. That's what we done came down to in the last days. All about fundraisers. Selling fish plates. This is really sad. It's really, really sad that we done got to this place. And most of the people that's doing it, they only doing it because they think this is the way I can help somebody. Now, you got other people out here that just coming up with scheme after scheme. And we're going to have this talent show. We're going to bring in the comedians. And we're going to get this. Listen, I'm going to say this with soft voice as possible. If you're standing outside of your church, taking up money and tickets to get inside the house of God, woe unto you. I'm going to just leave it at that. Because I know many of you disagree with that. But that is blasphemy. To be standing outside of the house of God with your hand out saying you can't get in here unless you pay for this ticket. That's sad. I don't care what it is. If you want to have a concert where you want to bring in a bunch of people and you don't want to pay for it yourself, then go get another venue. Don't use the house of God for that. Because the house of God is for people to come in and be healed, set free, and delivered. Not for you to get money. There's plenty of other venues for that. Don't be using the house of God for that. So read verse 37 for me again.
Then he said to his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few.
But the laborers are few. Verse 38.
Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest.
So that's what we got to be doing. We got to be in prayer. We got to be in the vineyard working and praying that the Most High will send laborers out there to get it done. Because I'm telling you right now, they're very far, they're very, very far, fewer in between. I'm telling you right now. You got a lot of preachers, a lot of people with the preacher title, and they don't give themselves whatever title they want to give themselves. But as far as doing the work, the true work of the gospel, it ain't much out there doing it. I'm telling you that right now. All these people on here, on these social media, they be trying to make themselves to be idols. They coming on talking about themselves, what they doing, how they getting it done, follow my brand, follow my life, do me, like me. Listen, if you ain't talking about Christ and promoting his work, then you are a businessman. You're a career man or woman. The only thing that should be coming out of your mouth is what Christ has said and what Christ is doing. Period. Not your brand, not your money-making schemes, none of that. Stop trying to make yourself into be idols and be a vessel for the Most High. Today's lesson is entitled, The Lord Have Need of You. It's time for us to come back as a nation, man. It's time for us to wake up out of this slumber that we've been in all these years. Get out of this whole thing of what we think church is, and we need to get back to the kingdom business. We got to be in a position, by the time this thing drop out in this country, where you got to take that mark of the beast, or we're in a place where we can be sufficient to give ourselves our own water, our own clothing, our own food, our own protection, until it's time to fully get up out of this country. Stop trying to get yourself into the system, being a part of everything else that's going on, and you need to get into this Bible and find out what he said so that you can be in a position to be not only used, but blessed. Let's go to Revelation 7.